Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting Australian Indian Radio's daily Facebook Live updates. And what an excellent day outside today it is. It is just amazing weather out there. I'd say best time of the year. Of course, we know that the Westleys are out and about. What does the Westleys bring? Westley brings with it the Eka. And yes, it is Eka Day today. We will look at a little bit of Eka. Of course, last year's glimpses and clips, because this year, of course, you can't go there in person, but virtually, I'm sure everyone would have logged into the sites and seen some of the events taking place virtually. And of course, those drive-in locations, getting your Sundays and day good. So, it is wonderful to see that. Well, let's take a quick look at the weather for today. So weather for rest of Friday is maximum of 26. Wow, that is nice. Morning, remember we had a little bit of fog there in the morning, but now it is mostly sunny, and there is a 10% chance of rain though. Brisbane area mornings with morning fog, mostly afternoon would have light winds which will become northeasterly 15 to 25 kilometers in the middle of the day, then tending northerly in the evening. Fire danger is low to moderate. Of course, always take precaution around the fire. I've said this before, I'm saying it now, and I'll say it even more. Sun protection is recommended from 9:30 a.m. till about 2:20 for today. And the UV index, because we're going to get up to 26, has gone up one notch to 5. So it's moderate, rating is moderate, but it is 5. Well, so today is a public holiday in Brisbane central area. Why is it that so? Because today is People's Day at Eka. So if it wasn't for the COVID-19 and the lockdown conditions, what would it look like? I can see the grounds from out the window right here. Because remember that other night when we did the fireworks coverage from here? Yes, it is just out the window, and the view from our 29th floor is just magnificent looking into the grounds. But right now, let's see, if it wasn't for this COVID-19, what would it look like at the Eka?
Hello guys, today we are in
Eka.
Yeah, Eka. Well, what is Eka, Ashkan?
What is Eka, guys? Eka is the biggest show in Queensland. Almost 400,000 people watch in August every year, and it's kind of like city people and village people connections, and you will see lots of organic stuff, animal stuff, plant stuff, and yeah, it's kind of gathering between like farmers and city people. Yeah, let's go and see them together. We will discover Eka today. Hopefully you will enjoy watching us.
Yes, and di Eka ini banyak banget tempat-tempat yang seperti kayak show ya, show ground. Jadi dia banyak banget festival di sini, jual berbagai macam tradisi Australia bisa kita lihat di sini. Ya, dan banyak juga kuliner makanan. So, saksikan terus video kita ya. Jangan lupa like video kita dan subscribe. Thank you so much.
can't go past the Kublas. I'll tell you that. Yeah, looks good, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, lest we forget, the oldest storytellers in the world, my father's people, Dean and Donald's people, the Aboriginal people of Australia, over 65,000 years. Now that you take a footprint in this part of the earth, you are now part of the oldest story known to mankind.
Sayang.
So there you are, a few glimpses of Eka, and as we know, it is the agricultural show, and so many different pavilions that are there, and always a fun day out for the family, and everyone just loves going there. But of course, this year it is going to be a virtual reality, meaning you can log on to their site and have a look at all the programs that would be taking place online, and you can join into that and be part of Eka. And today is People's Day, and that's why it's a public holiday here in central Brisbane. As we know, all different areas have different dates when it's holiday for them. Well, of course, today is 14th of August, one day before India's Independence Day. And tell you what, we have an excellent show lined up for you tomorrow from 9 a.m. till about 12. Tomorrow we will be here in the studios, and I will be joined by lovely Sweta, and she will be the co-host for the function today from this studios, tomorrow, and we will take you through from 9 a.m. till 12 noon tomorrow. And Sweta's joining me in the studios in taking us through that journey. And we will look at many of the functions that are happening as part of Independence Day, including India Day Fair, and we'll show you glimpses from previous years. We'll bring you some interviews, we'll bring to you some key messages, and of course we will take you live to some of the events taking place, like the flag raising ceremony and the floral tribute. So don't worry, from tomorrow from 9 a.m. till 12 noon, and joining me would be Sweta right here in the studios. So, it will be a wonderful show. But of course, as I mentioned, that today is 14th. So 14th is what? So 14th is the Independence Day of Pakistan. Yes, well guessed. Well, so now let's take a very quick look at Pakistan and what are they doing on their Independence Day celebration. Look, any country, people get so passionate about their own Independence Day, and of course we know that Indonesia says the Independence Day around India Day as well. So let's look at the emotions coming out of Pakistan. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the celebration happening in Pakistan. But don't worry, tomorrow we will come with full force here from these studios. And as I mentioned to you before, that tomorrow Sweta will be joining me from the studios here as well. So, Sweta will be the host with me tomorrow. And when we bring to you all the celebrations happening around Brisbane, and we'll also look at some of the key states, some of the key figures, and history of Independence Day, history of Gopio, history of the India Day Fair, which is in its 10th anniversary this year. Unfortunately, we can't hold it as a public gathering, but we were extending it to everyone throughout the world by hosting it right here from this studio. So don't forget that tomorrow from 9 till 12 noon, we will be bringing to you all the events on India Day Fair right here. And right now, let's go to other news. And as we know, that there's been a lot of talks about the protests and the refugees, that free the refugees around here in Kangaroo Point, and they're still talking about that blockage that they're planning on the Story Bridge. So let's take a very quick look at the coverage of that before we go into the next segment.
Marching in Mount Gravatt. Protesters waiting outside the police station playing recordings of refugees.
We are sick mentally and physically.
As organisers inside met with Australian Border Force and Queensland Police, but after just 1 hour, they walked out.
We haven't had our demands met today. We got nothing from them.
Their demand to allow day release for 120 refugees inside a Kangaroo Point hotel, declaring thousands will blockade the Story Bridge on Saturday unless this is met.
Hundreds of people who are willing to be arrested to make sure that the men inside Kangaroo Point are free.
Last week's original event was banned after a last-minute Supreme Court action. Another court attempt to block the protest could occur this week. Organisers say they postponed last Saturday's march because of the Chief Health Officer's warning about community transmission. Now, organisers insist we're in the clear and don't believe this Saturday's march will pose as a threat to Queensland.
Football is still on, a lot of mass gatherings are still on, so we're still allowed to gather.
As Border Force reveals extra security due to protesters is costing taxpayers $2 million. Brittany Lane, 7 News.
And as said, that they are planning on moving ahead with that protest. And as I said to you, that tomorrow, right here, I'll be joined with Sweta as we bring to you all the happenings around Brisbane for India's Independence Day and the virtual India Day Fair happening from this studio. So, let's take a very quick look at what, what we've done in previous years and what sneak preview you might get to see tomorrow.
Is Dance Masala. The Dance Masala Bollywood Dance Company believes creating community through dance and pushing the boundaries of the art form of Bollywood fusion. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a real treat, and if you enjoy this performance, the 2017 Straight Outta Bollywood concert is on the 25th of November. The tickets go on sale at the end of September, and you can check out their Facebook page. But for now...
And that is lovely Del Irani, who was our MC for that here. So we'll have many snippets of many of the concerts and events that took place over the years at Roma Street Parklands for India Day Fair.
Please put your hands together for the Dance Masala Bollywood Dance Company.
So more of that, you'll need to tune in tomorrow. That's a sneak preview of what's in store for you tomorrow as we take you through all the events and, of course, a lot of live coverage of in and around Brisbane. Well, right now, let's take a look at the COVID-19 and the numbers. So, when you look at the numbers, Queensland, we've got 1,089 confirmed cases, 1,076 recovery, and 6 deaths. And Australia, the confirmed cases reported, that is, as we know that news is that New South Wales, the numbers may be understated. So, in Australia, the confirmed cases so far are 22,358 and recovery 12,996, and the recorded deaths 361. While the number worldwide has always increased, went up a notch. So confirmed cases is 20.6 million and recovery 12.8 million and 749K deaths. So that's the numbers there. And let's take a very quick look at what's happening. So, so the update is that a study estimates that more than 1 in 10 Londoners had COVID-19. So more than 1 in 10 had, but it wasn't known at that time. And of course, the New Zealand cluster has grown to 17 now. So New Zealand cluster grows to 17, schools to reopen for students across Indonesia, and cases surge in India as prominent political figures contact COVID-19. Well, all the news coming out of India, and we do that every day in our Hindi segment. And of course, they always say that the numbers have grown, but then they always water it down as well, making reference to the number of people and the recovery and all that as well. But the key fact is that the numbers are growing. And Brazilian chicken wings imported to China contain COVID-19 traces. So, the chicken wings originating from Brazil, making all the way to China, and who knows from China where it goes. It might even end up in our supermarkets here as well. So, Spanish fears some areas may be hit hard by the second wave. So, that's the thing that everyone's talking about, is the second wave. Well, right now, let's take a very short commercial break before we go into the second part of today's segment.
ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी 1989 से लेकर अब तक का विश्वसनीय और माननीय ब्रिस्बेन का रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। उषा चंद्रा, जो कि ग्लोबनेट की डायरेक्टर है, अपने ग्राहकों को ईमानदार और एथिक सर्विसेज देती हैं। अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन की प्रॉपर्टी में पूंजी लगाना चाहते हैं और आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोफेशनली मैनेज किया जाए, तो आप आज ही कांटेक्ट कीजिए उषा चंद्रा को। लैंडलाइन नंबर है 38654466 और मोबाइल नंबर है 0419775416। और आप प्रॉपर्टी की अधिक जानकारी और करंट अपडेट्स के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं। हमारी वेबसाइट है www.globnetreality.com.au। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी आपका अपना लोकल रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। हमारा पता है ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, शॉप नंबर 5, 2281 Sandgate Road, Bundall, Queensland. Globenet Reality. Real estate is our world.
And of course, real estate is the world and doing quite well there as well. Well, right now, David Walters says his wife was on a respirator after contacting COVID-19. So let's have a listen.
Unfortunately, your wife got very, very sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how she was in, I know she was in the RPA for many weeks. About how long was it?
On the respirator?
Well, how long was she in hospital? I know she was on a respirator, but she was in the hospital for weeks and weeks, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think it was pushing in between 4 and 5 weeks or that.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, listening to Australian Indian Radio's Daily Life. Right now, let's cross over and have a listen to our Prime Minister as he talks about the IVF and the arrangements for returning cruise ships. Now, that's where lies a big danger. Remember, what happened on the cruise ship. So let's see what the Prime Minister has to say about the precautions that would be taken.
In specific cases where we have Australians on cruise ships, then there will be some bespoke arrangements that will be put in place directly under the command of the Australian Border Force to ensure that the relevant protections are put in place.
And that was in March. So what happened after that, we all know. And of course, as we know, in Australia, what's happening with young people, the lost decade of income. So here it is a satirist, Mark Humphries, as he addresses these young people's thing. So, since the global financial crisis in 2008, Australians of every age have experienced growth in income, and one exception, people under 35. It has become very, very challenging now for the young ones, young people coming in, and how do they cope up with this? Let's take a very witty look at via Mark Humphries.
Forever young, I want to be forever young. Well, not these days. According to this new report, it sounds like an absolute toilet. Hi, I'm the government's spokesdude for young people, and it's my thrill/burden to inform you of the findings of the latest Productivity Commission report. If you're under 35, which is unlikely since you're an ABC viewer, you're the lucky recipient of what's being called a lost decade of income growth. In short, over the last decade, every age group's incomes have been going up except yours. In fact, yours have been going down. Lol. And that was before the pandemic. Ruffle. So basically, the future looks about as terrifying as your parents' FaceTime angles.
Not so bad. How are you, son?
Dad, I can see right up your nostril.
Sorry about that.
I feel like I'm a COVID test swab right now. But look, it's not all doom and gloom. You've still got your superannuation to look forward to, unless you're one of those 450,400 young people who have dipped into their retirement savings, in which case the lower quality of life you're currently enjoying will transition seamlessly into your twilight years. Yes, your salad days may have been crushed into a wilted piece of baby spinach that tastes like dirt, but make no mistake about it, we're listening to what young people need.
We're just asking for an even playing field and decent opportunities.
So you'd like us to double the cost of humanities uni degrees?
No, that's not what I was...
You got it! Also, don't let the whole lost decade of income thing put you off Productivity Commission reports. They also issued a separate report related to jobs and the pandemic, and it turns...
And so there you are. As he mentioned there, that it is going to be challenging for the young ones coming in with things happening the way they are. Well, right now everyone's talking about New Zealand. As we know, there's 17 new cases there. So how and what happened right there? Let's cross over to Kiwi land.
After more than 100 days without local transmission, New Zealand recorded 4 new cases of coronavirus on Tuesday.
At this stage, we have not yet been able to determine the source of these cases.
In response, the country's largest city returned to Stage 3 lockdown. The rest of New Zealand moved to Stage 2 with limited travel. With a further 13 cases detected today, authorities are scrambling to pin down the source of this new outbreak and are investigating whether the virus could have survived in refrigerated goods from abroad. Michael Baker is an epidemiologist and Professor of Public Health at Otago University in Wellington. Professor, what's the most likely cause of this outbreak in New Zealand?
The most likely source will be one of the managed isolation and quarantine facilities. We have around 30 of these. They're holding around 6,000 people, mainly New Zealand citizens, who've returned to the country, and at any one time a number of them are infected and infectious. So that's the most likely source, and that's very much the experience you had in Victoria of a breach in biosecurity at one of these facilities.
So is it likely to be a weakness in protocol, or is it possible that people have maybe been cleared to leave but they've still actually been contagious? What could it be?
It'll almost certainly be a problem with the procedures at one of these facilities. I think the protocol's pretty robust now. You're in quarantine for 14 days, you're tested at day 3 and 12, and if you're positive, you're put in a more contained facility for the remainder of your stay. So I think that the protocol is good. It's just that with so many people in these facilities and so many shifts of staff, it's quite easy, I think, for people to perhaps cut corners or make mistakes.
There's been a bit of speculation about whether the virus could have travelled to New Zealand on frozen freight. How credible is that?
I think it's extremely unlikely. I don't know of any examples where chilled or frozen food has been implicated in the transmission of this virus. So I think it's maybe just confusion with the fact that there's been quite a bit of transmission in abattoir settings where, again, people are in quite a confined condition where it seems that the virus can be transmitted quite easily between people, not from meat to people.
Is it at all?
As he mentioned there, that he outweighs that the argument there. Well, right now let's go to Bangladesh, where there have been lots of floods. So Bangladesh government says that the massive flooding has submerged nearly 80,000 hectares of paddy fields. And if you can look at the floods, it's quite grim looking at that. But right now, let's cross over to U.S., where the sensation Kamala Harris is making all the news. Let's hear from her.
The COVID campaign is underway. Masks at the ready, more flags in the room than people, hugs and high fives strictly off limits.
Your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
The fierce former prosecutor quickly showed why she's on the ticket.
The case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut.
Homing in on the coronavirus still ravaging America and whom she says is to blame.
It's because of Trump's failure to take it seriously from the start.
Seeking to turn the president's greatest selling point until March against him.
He inherited the longest economic expansion in history from Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And then, like everything else he inherited, he ran it straight into the ground.
The daughter of Indian and Jamaican migrants, Senator Harris is seen by Democrats as a key asset in this time of racial turmoil, and they're seeking to capitalise on it.
My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked.
But the president, who pre-politics donated to Harris campaigns, isn't impressed with her now.
I watched her poll numbers go boom, boom, boom.
And claims she's wrong about his handling of the health crisis.
You know, she's very bad on facts. She's very weak on facts.
Kamala Harris has instantly injected energy into a Democratic campaign that's been nearly invisible since the pandemic struck. A reported $26 million in donations has poured into the party's coffers in just a day. Joe Biden has a new spring in his step, and he's hoping all girls of colour have the same.
Today, just maybe, they're seeing themselves for the first time in a new way as the stuff of president and vice presidents.
Already an historic campaign in a year America would rather forget. David Lipson, ABC News.
And of course, with that campaign, the amount of funds that they've raised, and it was quite funny when President Trump said that she's very weak on facts, because just this morning I was watching a documentary where someone had analyzed Trump's speech, and of all the facts that he had always got wrong. So the things that he was quoting, and underneath and in subtitles they had what was the correct numbers, and some of those things were way out of context. Well, anyway, right now let's take a very quick look at functions and events before we make that big announcement for tomorrow's function that will be live here from 9 a.m. till 12 noon. So this is a visual event that will take place here tomorrow. So India's Independence Day celebration, and we will be crossing over to Melbourne, to Taringa, to Roma Street Parklands, and we'll be connecting with many others. We'll have studio guests and Our Lord Mayor will be joining in with his message as well, and there will be key messages from many people. There will be lots of entertainment from previous years and some from coming in from this year as well. So there's a variety of things and a full coverage of India's Independence Day celebration by GoPure Queensland and streamed by Australian Indian Radio right here, right on this channel. So don't forget to tune in tomorrow from 9 a.m. You can see all these mental health matters. There's a lot of seminars and webinars that are happening. So I encourage that if you can join into those and listen to what the panelists have to say, or you could be a panelist. You can join into those, especially the youth conference and other things there as well. So, under the current circumstances, everyone's at a risk of mental breakdown. So mental health does matter. And it is very important and relevant that we do take that very seriously and look at that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said to you before, that tomorrow from 9 a.m. till 12 noon, we'll have the live coverage of India Day Fair in the format that it will be presented this year, which is the virtually. And we will be, hosting that from here, and joining me in the studios tomorrow will be Sweta, and we will bring to you lots of glimpses from the STEs as well. So here's a very quick glimpse of what we have in store. ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave Lakwinder Wadali there. And of course, we know that last year we had Master Salim. So there'll be performances from all of those showstoppers right here between 9 and 12. Of course, we'll be crossing over to all the live events that will be taking place in Brisbane as well. And don't forget that tomorrow joining me in the studio would be Sweta. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'd need to say goodbye for now. And I'd looking forward to, connecting with each and every one of you tomorrow from 9 a.m. for that big coverage of India Day Fair 2020, the 10th anniversary edition, brought to you virtually by Australian Indian Radio, co-hosted by Gopio Queensland. So until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.